Official Mike said in the chat. That's it, I'm done being nice to myself.
Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Not a Newbie, back again with yet another stream. I've got this drink called Cow Pico, I guess. I haven't drunk that much of it, but it's interesting. It's good stuff, but I don't know. It is highly saccharine, so it does feel a little weird.
I'm too soft on myself. Gotta be a drill sergeant.
Yo, Mike, what is up in the chat? Beating yourself up as usual. So I guess you're doing well. No. Nah, man. Sometimes you can afford to chill on some things. You can. Look, man, you can afford to like calm down some. Like, you don't have to be like super hard on yourself all the time. You're not a machine. So it's nice to see you in the chat, man, because we're gonna be talking about a lot of different things. As indicated by the music, we'll be talking about Joe Biden's failures as president, as we typically do on this stream. But yeah, we're gonna try and cover a lot of interesting things. We've got an incident that happened in Ohio that was misreported as a mass casualty event. Only one person died, so we've got that situation going on. We've got Donald Trump stopping by to East Palestine to render aid in the form of McDonald's meals after that disastrous train derailment. We've got one crazy person who went on the mainstream news media and kind of made a fool of herself and actually might end up single-handedly destroying the January 6th prosecutions against Donald Trump. All kinds of things. Also, we got a special surprise for the stream, which I will be showing off to you guys shortly. Let's see, you said Cocaine Bear is 7 out of 10. Interesting.
Canada having risk elections by China.
Yo, I need to cover that too. Cocaine Bear is 7 out of 10. Okay. I didn't know if it'd be my cup of tea, but it did seem a little bit interesting. Mr. Mike said, I was nice to myself and I fell for a scam. I was nice to myself and did bad in microbiology. I don't know what you mean by that exactly. I don't know what you mean by that exactly. But I will say, never a dull moment with you in the chat. We always have interesting conversations whenever you're popping in. That's for sure. Let's see. Now hold up. I am gonna cut the music real quick. You guys want to see? Let's see. Want to see the fit that I have? I have on, as usual, the blue Crocs clogs. So I guess that probably is not a surprise to you. However, I do happen to have something a little bit special. Oh, I wonder what's in this bag. No, guys. So I ended up getting so Crocs was doing this kind of crossover thing with Minecraft and decided to release like some like limited edition like Minecraft Crocs, and I always wanted like the Crocs slides anyways. So I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and grab myself some Crocs slides. Now granted, I do want myself some like plain slides, so I wound up getting shoot, I didn't even grab scissors. I do want some plain slides, so I will be getting plain slides eventually, but for now these limited things are gonna have to do. Let me see where I have some scissors. I don't know where my normal scissors are. I guess I'll go ahead and use these. All right. Let's see. So we've got this thing open. Now, these don't just have the limited Minecraft Crocs slides. And also in here are the limited Minecraft exhibits. So we'll be able to take a look at these as well. And okay, let's see. Here we go. We've got the Crocs in the bag right here. Take a look at these. Yep, I did get them in the proper size. So that's good. I was starting to have some doubts about that. So, here we go. Here we go. Got the nice little Crocs bag, of course, as usual. And here are the shoes. So it's got like this nice green thing here. Very similar to what I would imagine you would see like if you were gonna put this up on a shelf, like at the actual store. You see something like that looks like that. Hold on, I need to cut the tag on this thing. But this actually, in my opinion, it looks cooler in person. I thought, let's see here. I actually think these look cooler in person. For some reason, let's see, it just looks a lot better. This is quite high detail, and I'll show you guys all the high detail here. So look at this. This is like a gray slide with some green accents. What do you guys think? You've got like an embossed little Minecraft logo here. Kind of like a very chaotic, avant-garde style to this. You know, it looks like a standard slide, but of course they're Crocs, so they're going to be able to support having little charms there. So these are the shoes. These are the shoes. So hold on. Let's see. I'm gonna throw these on. Here, let's move this out of the way. These are these are way comfier than I was expecting them to be. I don't know. I figured they would probably just feel like normal slides, but these are actually quite comfy. And I think a main reason is they're like these contours. I don't know how well you can see them, but they're these contours that they're basically foot shaped. And so it just makes for, some surprisingly good arch support. I was actually not expecting them to be this comfy. I mean, these are actually, well, I guess that's why it says iconic Crocs comfort, right? Yo, that's dope. And one thing that's nice too that I'm noticing is if I compare these to the clogs, right? So these are my existing clogs that I have, and these are the slides. The sole here is quite a lot more slippery than the sole here. This is very rubbery, and this is also rubbery, but it's also a bit smooth. This is actually kind of a nice feature because it makes it easier to just slip these on and slip them off, because they're slides, so of course you'd expect them to slide. But for those of you who just popped into the chat, not only did I get these limited slides, I also got these. So these right here are the limited Jibbitz as well. Now these I'm actually going to probably put on my normal slides, not the my normal Crocs clogs, not the slides. I think the slides, for the slides it makes more sense to have them a bit plainer. But anyways, we've got the standards. We've got Sam, we've got Alex, we've got the Creeper, we've got the Enderman, we've got the pig. So a nice little assortment here. Take a look at the back there. Let's see, reading chat here. When is it from harm myself and when myself will do well, if I'm nice to myself, then I fade into obscurity. I mean, what's wrong with obscurity though? I don't know what the problem is with obscurity. Although I do know you did say earlier that if you bully yourself, then you will have higher grades. But you just have to figure out is that worth literally everything else? Is it worth your your mental health, and of course we all know that you damaging your mental health will damage your physical health as well. So you just have to wonder, like, are you willing to degrade your body for a paycheck? You know, I'm being blunt, you know, for the sake of you know, being concise. But, you know, that's kind of like the gist of it. Like, what are you willing to risk for, you know, this career or whatever? You know, if you want to, you know, run your body into the ground so that you can, you know, die quicker with more money, you know, that's something you'd have to measure. I would say personally, like, it's not worth it. But then again, you know, it's your life. You know, my wife said I can buy my mental health back when I'm successful. No, when you're more successful, your mental health will probably be worse. More money, more problems. That's what they say. A wise philosopher said that once. Forget his name. Let's see. But yeah, that's how they say it works. So, pull this out here. All right. So here we have all the little gibbets. And I'll show you all the gibbets here. We've got, first of all, the little creeper gibbet. Is one gibbet a gibbet? You call them, they're gibbets. So one gibbet is like a gibbet, right? Like, I guess. Anyways, you get the Enderman. Hold on. There we go. You get the Enderman gibbets right here. Very cool little dude. So you run into when he, like, kills you. We've got the, you know, Sam gibbet. Very nice, very nice. We've got the Alex gibbet, and we've also got the little Minecraft pig gibbets. So very nice, very like standard-ish gibbets. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the TTS back on. But yeah, very cool. It's nice to have some gibbets finally. You guys know how much I play Minecraft, so these definitely make sense for me to throw on my Crocs. It's nice to have some slides. Having, you know, ones that are Minecraft themed is kind of a nice touch. So anyways, I'm pretty happy. I'm pleasantly surprised by how comfy these slides are too. Now I know I'm new to Crocs slides, but anyways, I'm pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. Well, let me pull up the TTS again. Let's see. But no, you're not gonna be able to buy it with therapy sessions. It's not a one size fits all solution.
Official Mike
mental health issues.
Said in the chat.
People like to think they are.
I legit told someone to STF you when they said it's not that bad, and I say I need to shoot for the stars because my whole plan relies on it.
Let's see here. Because there's so much that goes into it than just being like, oh yeah, I'll just go to therapy. Like, you can't just like slap that on there and call it a day. Let's see. How do I put on this gibbet, chat? How does this work? I've literally never tried to well, I've never had gibbets before, so let's see. Do you just like squeeze it in really hard? Or you like stick it in and
Official
angle?
Mike said in the chat. If I'm nice to myself and fall out, then Angelina will leave me just like my ex did.
All right, okay. I'm gonna put on one more gibbet, and I can mess with these later. I know that we have a lot of news that we've got to get to, so I definitely want to prioritize getting into that. But here we go. Let's go. Kind of happy about that. And you know, I'll deal with these later. But very nice.
Official Mike said in the chat. Every day I will call myself a lazy piece of shite that will amount to nothing and will be nothing until I work myself to a headache.
Hold on, told someone to shut up when they said it's not that bad. And said need to shoot for the stars so the whole plane relies on it.
Official Mike said in the chat. Every day.
Who was Angelina? Wait, Mike, who was Angelina? You're dating a ballerina now? Yo, I did not know this. Congrats, dude. But yeah, no. This whole plan sounds terrible. You know, if you're like, trying to get the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow, like, I understand it. It certainly sounds enticing. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to either get the money that you're looking for because you run your body into the ground, but you'll get the bag, but you'll be miserable just because you run yourself into the ground. So it's tough. But it's time to talk about the wondrous Joe Biden regime. Gotta get into this because things have just been going splendidly. I'm gonna cut the music. That was a little bit gimmicky. But for real though, let's get into this. So, initially, the reports of this incident. So if you guys have been, my bad. So if you guys have been following everything that's been going on in Ohio, there's been a lot going on in Ohio, and something else happened beyond the East Palestine incident, beyond, the whole Cedarville University stabbing, and beyond the whole Cedarville University Title IX situation that they've got going on. Beyond all of that, something else happened. There was a pretty big explosion that initially was misreported. It was initially reported as a mass casualty event, as you'll see in the title of this video. But it turns out that it wasn't a mass casualty event. It turns out only one person ended up dying, although over a dozen folks got rushed to a local hospital. And it looks terrible. I don't know if the authorities know like what caused this yet. And this looks pretty bad. This looks pretty bad, man. Every single day, I feel like the case for leaving Ohio grows stronger. But let's read through this Reuters piece because they kind of explain everything that happened there. So 1 killed, a dozen injured after blast at Ohio factory scatters molten debris, starts fire. The explosion tore through an Ohio metals plant on Monday, scattering molten metal and debris that rained down on neighboring buildings, killing one person and injuring at least a dozen others, officials, witnesses, and a media report said. The blast sent smoke billowing into the sky that could be seen for miles around the damaged factory about 15 miles southeast of Cleveland. The explosion of unknown origin. So we still don't know what caused the explosion, which I think is really unfortunate. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, yeah. It drew fire departments from throughout Northeast Ohio. Oakwood Fire Department Captain Brian DeRocco addressed the media on scene earlier on Monday, saying 13 people were taken to the hospital, many of them with burn wounds, and one more was being treated on site. At least one was in critical condition, and one was pulled from the debris, DeRocco said. All those injured were on site, and the falling debris having spared those at neighboring buildings. So, businesses. So, it seems like, this, is not like an ongoing issue. It's not like, there are like chemicals everywhere, other people's houses burned down. It's seeming more like this is just like an accident, some sort of explosion happened, and there's no, ongoing threat to life. So that is certainly good news, and I'm very glad to hear that. A lot of people walking around in shock, and that makes total sense. Let's see here. DeRocco had said he inspected the site before, found it a safe place except for the fact that it's a foundry. You were dealing with molten metal, so there's always an inherent danger. Now, I do remember reading somewhere that the plant actually did have. Let me see here. Here we go. I did some digging and I found this. Now, at this plant, this is the plant that exploded, by the way. Health and environmental violations were found at this metal plant. So it says here that, let's see here. Over the past 20 years, they found 3 complaints and 1 referral made to OSHA for that Ein Schumann and Company, organization. And there were 2 health complaints from 2022 that were still ongoing. So this means that, it was known that this place had health concerns. So, it feels terrible being like, you could see this coming from a certain extent, but, at a certain point you kind of have to say, hey, you have to pay attention to these health violations whenever they come up. With the whole East Palestine situation, there were issues with the safety of the trains, and we'll get to those in a minute. And it's just like, these are all like red flags, a lot of stuff happening, and it's just kind of weird that it's all happen in Ohio. But just a lot of red flags of things popping up, companies not paying attention to, the safety of their employees and of their equipment. And this really needs to end, because I'm quite sure that, for example, when it came to Norfolk Southern, they were like, we don't want to spend the money to, do all these safety things, for lack of a better term. But, and then they actually ended up saving lots of money by cutting tons of jobs when it came to, checking all of the trains and making sure that they were working properly and making sure that they were all safe. But at the end of the day, man, if you're running one of these trains, just one of these trains carrying hazardous materials, basically nukes the town with chemicals, and you're gonna have to be paying millions of dollars over decades. And is there a net gain there financially? Even like, I understand people being like, oh, we want to save money by cutting jobs, but if stuff goes wrong because of what you did, you're gonna end up spending far more money. So it's just not a good gamble. And hopefully this is a wake-up call to these companies that they need to pay more attention to the safety of their environments that they're putting their workers to, especially when it's, high-risk things like dealing with metal and dealing with hazardous materials. Companies have a responsibility to make sure that their employees are safe, and they need to take a little bit more responsibility for that. The official Mike. Oh, thank you, Mike, for reminding me in the chat. Hold on, let me take a look at that what you sent there in the politics channel that one time. Let's see here, because you said something about election meddling, and I kind of wanted to read into it because I know that you're Canadian, and I am not. So I don't know as much about the story as you do, but the way you described it, you really made it seem like it's like a bombshell, like a huge, massive story. And I don't know if it's paywalled or geo-blocked or what, but I couldn't hit it. I had to go to the Wayback Machine. Many of you guys who are friends of the stream, you're familiar with Official Mike. He's a Canadian viewer of mine, and he brought to my attention this kind of interesting story about Chinese interference in Canadian elections. Now the headline here goes, CSIS documents show China warned, quote, Canadian friends of foreign interference investigations. Now this is from the Globe and Mail. So this is kind of where this news report is coming from. But the article says these Chinese diplomats quietly issued warnings to friendly and influential Canadians in early 2022, advising them to reduce their contact with federal politicians to avoid being caught up in foreign interference investigations by Canada's spy agency. So it's sounding like these Chinese plants inside of the Canadian government were literally, tipped off that investigations into election interference were coming, and they were like, yo, shut up, stop talking to the federal politicians. That's wild. It's even a top secret Canadian Security Intelligence Service documents viewed by the Globe and Mail reveal how China sought to protect its network of Canadian friends, a community it relies on to build relations, influence, and covertly gather information from PMs and senators. The Globe reported Friday how China employed a sophisticated strategy to seek the return of a minority liberal government and to defeat conservative politicians considered to be unfriendly to Beijing in the 2021 federal election. Interesting. Wow. Now, I don't know, because the thing is, and you'll learn this if you like look into politics of like Europe and other countries. Liberal and conservative don't always mean the same thing that they mean in the United States, but it's very interesting how China wanted to defeat the conservatives in Canada, and they were trying to manipulate the government into doing so. This is crazy. Well, the thing is, it's like crazy, but it's not, because to a certain extent, we all should have like been expecting stuff like this. Like we should expect things like this out of the United States government, right? Because China has a lot of influence and control over America. Now, a lot of that does appear to be in the the private sector with things like TikTok and stuff like that. But at the same time, man, like, you can't pretend that China doesn't have influence in other countries. But hey, to be fair to China, putting spies in other countries are things that a lot of powerful countries do, right? The United States does this all the time in the Middle East, for example, try to topple dictators and whatnot. So we can't pretend that this is like a uniquely Chinese thing to do, to, have plants in foreign governments that, try to influence elections. But still, this is, it's interesting that we have a smoking gun, because usually then that news won't come out. These types of things will just be relegated to conspiracy theories, and then no one will really talk about it. Let's dig into this a little bit more. I am skimming this, but the article is in my Discord. If you guys want to join my Discord, the link is dscrd.ndnwb.cc. In January 15, 2022 intelligence report, CSIS said China had learned that the spy agency for the first time was warning individual prime ministers and senators from all major parties about influence operations being carried out by Beijing. That set in motion an effort by Chinese diplomats to close down foreign interference operations directed at elected officials in Ottawa. So it sounds like they influenced not just like one political party, but all of them. That doesn't mean that they influenced or like controlled like every single MP or senator, right? I'm not getting that impression from this article, but certainly like none of these political parties are 100% clear of spies for China. Is what it's sounding like from this article. It says here the documents do not identify the Canadian business executives, academics, or researchers. The SIS has become increasingly alarmed by efforts by China and its agents of influence to covertly cultivate relations with elected officials to gain sway over parliamentary debates and government decision making. I mean, here's the thing. Again, I was talking about this earlier. The United States does this to other countries all the time. I don't know if Canada does this, but as Americans, right? I feel like I'm like, hey, fair play, China. Like, I don't agree with like your regime or like your ideology that you're coming at us with, but at the end of the day, like, we do the same thing to you. Like, certainly we do have a duty to like resist we much, and about that be committed. But at the same time, we much and we will much. Here's the thing. It's a little Al Sharpton reference there. Al Sharpton reference there for you. But at the same time, like, we can't get too mad at China, I don't think, just because I think this sort of thing should be expected, especially from a country that's so powerful and is also an adversary of America. Official Mike in the chat said, I think we should just not spy on other countries. I mean, that's 100% fair. But I mean, is America going to stop doing that? No. So there you have it. Like, it's, should we stop? No. Will we? I mean, no, should we stop? Yes. Will we? No. I don't think we will. But I mean, that's bad news out of Canada. But hey, maybe it explains some of the the developments you guys have over there. Maybe you guys can scapegoat the Chinese government for some of your failures and who you've elected, because you guys have elected politicians who have been terrible and disastrous. This dude in the chat, Official Mike Mike, is calling Trudeau just off Truitler, and that's a little bit of a stretch, kind of like a Stephen Colbertism, but I understand where he's coming from, and it 100% makes sense. Like, the dude is kind of a dictator. It's a problem. The left has been continually embracing dictatorships, and it's just not good. Part of me wonders, after that report, is some of that influenced by China or not? But to a certain extent, you have to just, the Chinese government, their ideology seems to just align with a lot of these left-wing perspectives. So at what point, I guess, does it even matter if the agenda is the same? And if the agenda is bad, then I guess as citizens, we should fight against the agenda that we don't like. And as voters, what can we do, right, against Chinese spies, right? Unless you find that one is, a senator of a place you live in, then you can vote that person out. But, other than that, not much else that we can do. So, but it is always good to keep yourself informed. So, keep yourself informed, about these sorts of things. Maybe I'll wake up. No, dude, why you gotta go over the top about all this stuff? Let's see. Let me pull this up here. So, let me see here. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Donald Trump. Let's see here. All right, so if you guys have been following the stuff that's been going on in Ohio, no, not the train derailment and the chemical disaster that's been going on in East Palestine. No, not the explosion of the metal plant, that killed 1 person and injured 12 people. And no, not the stabbing that happened at a Christian campus in Ohio that also led to, the discussion of some ongoing Title IX incidents that many have found to be mishandled. No, this is a news story. It's not just the East Palestine situation. Donald Trump is getting involved, deciding to go down to East Palestine and, provide some relief. Typical Trump fashion when he goes in to provide relief. Now, in case you guys were paying attention, I do have to let you guys know that that's not what happened when he went to East Palestine. That happened when he went to Puerto Rico. Seems like he learned his lesson and he decided not to throw paper towels at the people who were suffering and struggling in the wake of a disaster. Instead, he went over to East Palestine and he gave some kind and comforting words to the folks who live there.
But today, former President Donald Trump visited East Palestine, and our Neil Fisher spoke to former President Trump one-on-one. So the big question is, Neil, what did he have to say today in Ohio?
Hey, good evening, Betsy. The main message is that the residents here in East Palestine will be okay. This nearly 3 weeks after that train derailment on that Norfolk Southern Railroad.
They're gonna be okay. I mean, that's a big promise. I mean, they're gonna be okay. I would love to believe that that's true. But I mean, it's a serious mess. I don't know how you get all those chemicals out of the air. You know, like, it's not that easy. You can't just walk up to a bunch of people whose town has been nuked with chemicals and be like, oh yeah, you'll be fine eventually. You know, when people are taking steps into the water, it's sending a rainbow cloud of chemicals into the water. It's just,
But the reason we're actually at this McDonald's right now is because the president stopped in. He bought the firefighters who responded to that crash lunch today. He also met with Mayor Trent Conaway, and he was able to chat with former President Donald Trump this afternoon alongside J.D. Vance here in East Palestine. Mr. Trump said the mayor and fire chief did an incredible job and is thankful help is on the way.
It's crazy to me that Joe Biden never stopped by or even said anything publicly about this. You know, as far as I know, like, Joe Biden should have been here like weeks ago. Donald Trump waited a long time to come here. If Donald Trump was president now and he showed up when he did, he would have been publicly excoriated for taking so much time to get down here. But he's showing up here. Now, granted, I understand it's probably a political ploy, but it is still great that he came down here to show some support. You know, I know that, you know, buying some folks the McDonald's meal isn't that great, but these people were very frustrated. They felt like no one was on their side, and Donald Trump is, you know, for all of the, you know, things that people don't like about him, Donald Trump is really good at making disenfranchised people feel enfranchised, like feel like someone's on their side and feel like someone can help them. So whether or not you agree with Donald Trump's policies, whether or not you like the man or think that he says mean words sometimes, this move, I'm quite sure, you know, made the people of East Palestine feel a bit better.
Do you have any concerns for the residents here in East Palestine?
Oh, they're going to be treated so good now. FEMA's coming up because we came here, and FEMA does a great job.
FEMA does a great job, sure. No. But yes, FEMA did decide to stop by specifically because Donald Trump said he was gonna go. Like, the wine. No, I know the guy is not the great. I've never been the greatest fan of DeWine. I'm sorry, my friends at Cedarville University and my college friends, you know, who love DeWine, you know, because of how he handled COVID and everything. I'm just not a fan of him, personally. I find that he usually doesn't do much movement, but I have to give him credit. He kept on going to FEMA and saying, yo, give us aid because our people need help. And FEMA kept on saying no until Donald Trump stopped by, and all of a sudden, you know, hours after Donald Trump announced that he's going to stop by East Palestine, FEMA comes up and they're like, yo, we'll give y'all some aid. Kind of crazy, but I'm glad that FEMA is stepping up at least and you know, saying what they're gonna do, and at least offering some help.
And they'll be taken care of now. They were not going to be taken care of, but they're going to be taken care of.
Did you hear any concerns from the mayor or from the fire chief?
Well, the mayor's done a fantastic job. The fire chief has done a fantastic job. The problem was the federal government was going to send nobody, and when I said I was coming, they changed their tune rapidly, and now they're sending the whole group. So FEMA's coming, and they're coming with a lot of help and a lot of money.
Do you think Norfolk's helping?
Mr. Trump also told me that he thinks Norfolk Southern will be accountable for their actions in this crash that happened nearly 3 weeks ago. We'll have more from his visit to East Palestine.
I mean, they should be held accountable. I hope they're held
live
accountable.
in East Palestine. Neil Fisher, 3 News.
All right, Neil, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
And Donald Trump also, let's see here. Here we go. We've got him going into the McDonald's here.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Mr. President.
How are you? How are you? We have a good cameraman over here. So everybody, enjoy your meal, and we're going to get the meals from the fire department. Hello, everybody. What's your specialty today?
The specialty. Yeah, McDonald's is known for their specialties. Oh, wow. I did not know that. I guess it's in the title there, but he paid for everyone who was at that McDonald's. That's rather nice.
Yes. Have a good day, Mr. President.
They're calling him Mr. President. Okay, interesting. It is interesting that, you know, a few days, Donald Trump has done more to help, the citizens of East Palestine alone than Joe Biden has, probably for a lot of folks in the entire country over these past 3 years. Joe Biden is the only president I've ever seen who's made 3 years as president feel like 6.5. Almost 2 years into his presidency, I was like, is this over yet? Is this over yet? It's really sad, really. It's awful. Now, apparently Donald Trump gave a speech as well, addressing the citizens of East Palestine. And here are his remarks here. I know they're a bit lengthy.
JD's been here for 4 days. I've been watching him every day. JD Vance has been incredible. To the people of East Palestine and to the nearby communities in Ohio and Pennsylvania, we have told you loud and clear, you are not forgotten. You are not forgotten. We stand with you, we pray for you, and we will stay with you in your fight to help answer, and the accountability that you deserve. We'll have that accountability. It'll all be out there very clearly. I want to thank Senator J.D. Vance for being here. I want to thank Congressman Bill Johnson, very special friends of mine. They became really very good friends of mine. I also want to recognize a man who has been working tirelessly for this community since the beginning of the nightmare. And Trent, where's Trent? He's very easy to find. Huh? He's very easy to find. I want to thank you.
This has got to be so difficult for him because, he was not, I'm pretty sure no mayor was expecting to deal with a situation of this magnitude. He's also, not just that, but been given very little support. So it's just got to be the worst possible scenario that Trent's been put in.
Your Mayor, in addition, let me express our tremendous respect and admiration for all of the police and firefighters and first responders, and all over the country there's such heroes, but this was a great example of it because that was a very dangerous looking sight. So I want to thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. 19 days ago, tragedy struck this wonderful village and rocked the lives of people throughout this area, long beyond this area. It's been weeks since Americans have been inspired. They've just watched this over the weeks. They've been inspired by your strength and your courage and how you've come together to stand up for the families in your area and the families of this village and beyond. We've seen the first responders and railroad workers serving bravely in the line of duty. The railroad workers have been really incredible, actually, and they've gone way above the call of duty. We've seen citizens speaking up at the town halls, and we've seen organizations such as the East Palestine Community Foundation rising to the occasion to provide tremendous relief and help to the people that were so badly affected. So I want to thank you all. Fantastic job. Really great. Everybody's been watching. We've all been watching on television and beyond television. We've been getting our news from the real news and from the fake news. And the fake news we even believed in this case because they've covered it very fairly. Over the past few weeks,
That's interesting. Whoa. Let's run that back.
And we've been getting our news from the real news and from the fake news. And the fake news we even believed in this case because they've covered it very fairly.
That's interesting that Donald Trump is saying that, the fake news, the mainstream media, it's covering this incident fairly. I've never heard him say that the mainstream media as a whole has been fair. That's a new step for him. This is good.
Over the past
some personal growth on Donald Trump's part.
Few weeks, the community has shown the tough and resilient heart of America, and that's what it is. This is really America right here. We're standing in America. Unfortunately, as you know, in too many cases, your goodness and perseverance were met with indifference and betrayal in some cases. Biden and FEMA said they would not send federal aid to East Palestine under any circumstance. They're not going to send aid. I thought that was a strange statement because I've been working with FEMA for a long time, 4 years, and they were great with us with the tornadoes, the hurricanes, and things like this. And it was a strange statement to come out, and they were doing nothing for you. They were intending to do.
What must have been going through their mind when they decided not to give aid? Like, you have to consider, and as a politician, right, you have to be thinking in very political terms, especially when you have an election coming up. Who told Joe Biden that it would be a good idea not to give aid? You know, these people are not going to trust you or like you. They're not going to vote for you in 2024 now. And on top of that, the whole country is going to like you less because of your indifference and inaction in response to this situation. So I don't see any, political world where, not giving aid makes sense. And then on top of that, how does that help the citizens of East Palestine when you're literally saying that you're just going to ignore them and not give them any help? How does that help them? It's a lose-lose situation from both the, how do we best help the folks in East Palestine? Doesn't help the folks in East Palestine. How do you, make the best move politically? This is not the best move politically. There's no logic or understanding or reasoning for denying the aid to East Palestine, in my opinion.
Absolutely nothing for you. JD and I spoke, and they said they're not coming. They're not going to come. I said, that's very strange. FEMA said specifically this doesn't meet the criteria, and that's horrible, and somebody has to do something for those people. I said back, when I announced that I was coming, they changed their tune. It was an amazing phenomena. The mayor and I were discussing that. It was quite amazing what happened, and they said that we can't let this happen. That was a big change of pace. JD, did you ever see a change like that one? That was a quick, rapid change. But we can't let this happen, they said, and we'll be there. And we opened up the dam, and we got them to move, and they all came in, and they're now pouring you in with help. And I will tell you, I had a great relationship with FEMA. I found FEMA to be incredible, amazing in every way. And we had tremendous luck with the tornadoes and all of the hurricanes and everything else that we had, and they were fantastic, and now they're fantastic here. They could have been 2 weeks earlier, or at least a week earlier, but they decided to do it this way, and I guess it came from the top. And so we have to understand that, it reminds
Interesting. So he's trying to shield FEMA from any blame here too. I understand, the political reasons for that, because then you can throw as much blame towards Joe Biden as you can in that situation.
If you remember when Ohio State wasn't going to be playing football for another season, they were going to sit back and watch with the China virus or COVID, whatever you want to call it. And I called the head of the Big Ten football. I said, you got to get this football open. And they were great. They responded, and Ohio State played that season. Nobody remembers that, I think, right? Does anybody know? You got at least one. You could be close, but by now you still would be close, probably. But we got that open very early. And
why is he talking about football? I don't understand why he's talking about football and what he did to bring college football back. Granted, I'm a college football fan, so to be honest, I do appreciate that, but only out of selfish motives. Still, it just seems irrelevant and not particularly, I feel like if you're reading the room, talking about what you did to bring back college football in 2020 might not be the best move.
Had a great season of football, to put it mildly. So that was a very great honor, the Big Ten, and that led to the NFL, and it led to most of the rest of football in the country. But you led it through Ohio State and Big Ten, and we got that done. I did that very personally. I called the commissioner, and he did a good job.
Bro.
What this community needs now are not excuses and all of the other things you've been hearing, but answers and results, and that's what I think you're going to say. Norfolk Southern needs to fulfill its responsibilities and obligations, and I see that they're starting to come here now too, because they also were saying they're not coming. But it means that the affected communities beyond the borders of East Palestine are going to be taken care of, and they've said so, and they've said it loud and clear, and I think they probably mean it. I sincerely hope that when your representatives and all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back from touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over, because we're now at $117 billion, As you probably know, Europe, when you add it all up, is at about $10 billion. That's a big...
It's crazy. As an American, it's harder to support Ukraine and the whole Ukrainian versus Russian conflict when we've sent them billions of dollars. And all they have to show for all the money that we've given them, all the weapons that we've given them, is losing ground. Clearly what we're doing is not working in Ukraine. We're continuing to just throw away money at the whole Russia-Ukraine war to have, zero effect. Basically, it's like, a negative 5% impact is the benefit that we're giving Ukraine. At least that's what seems to be the effect of our actions there. And so we're supposed to sanction and support the spending of essentially just $1 trillion check spread out over 3 years with an unknown APR to Ukraine, for them to at the end of the day lose a war. Anyways, and meanwhile we're just leaving our own citizens like the flounder, while Ohio literally blows up and is burning to the ground. That's kind of what it feels like the state of Ohio is doing. And for some reason we're supposed to care more about Ukraine. Why? I think this is where, the anti-nationalism has gotten us, right? With, America is so bad that we got to care more about other countries than our own citizens. Well, we're talking about our neighbors at this point. I've got a bunch of friends who live in Ohio, right? And now, their state is going up in smoke. Meanwhile, we're all still supposed to care more about what's happening in Ukraine and Russia than what's happening in our own country. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Big difference, wouldn't you say? That's one of the things that gets me, because they're at it again. They're very good negotiators, those people in Europe. When you add it all up, it's about the same size as the United States, the economy of the different European countries, and they're at a very small number compared to us. So you'll start working on that, I guess, when you get back. I think JD will have that well under. He's listened. He heard that number, but it's a massive difference. It's a very small fraction of what we put up, and it affects them more than us, and they have to do what they have to do. But we're going to find time to come back if necessary. If they don't come back and give you the treatment that you need, we will be back. The Biden administration should ensure that every family has the option of moving and homes and everything else until this thing is straightened out. I do want to especially thank some of the incredible people that helped us, because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it.
What's Trump water? What?
Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water. You want to get those Trump bottles, I think, more than anybody else. But we're bringing a lot of water, thousands of bottles, and we have it in trucks, and we brought some on my plane today. But to that end, I'm pleased to announce that we've helped coordinate the delivery of the water and bottled water, as well as the tractor trailers full of it. We have big tractor trailers full of water. I think you're going to have plenty of water for a long time, maybe. And I want to thank those of you that helped. John Rourke, who's fantastic, Blue Line Moving. Is John here? Hello, John. Good job. Got a lot of trucks coming up with water, right?
Whatever the American citizens need.
That's true. You're a fantastic guy. Friend of my son, Don, who's also here. Where's Don? Good job. Did you get him to do that? I think so, huh?
He does it on his own.
Yeah, he does. He's fantastic. He helps. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. Two Fellas Moving Company, and I want to thank the people within the Trump organization that helped us with all of the water. We got it from all of our different hotels, all of our different places, and it was great. They really came together. Also, I want to thank Sandy Pensler and his son, Jonathan Pensler, from Cortex in Michigan, for donating thousands of gallons of cleaning supplies. Thousands and thousands of gallons. Where are you guys? Where are they? Are they here? They're too busy putting it on the truck. But he gave Cortex, if anybody knows the company, it's a very good company, big company, and they're giving tremendous amounts of cleaning supplies, which is what you're going to need. And again, I want to thank Senator Vance, and I want to ask JD to come up and say a few words, and then Mayor Conaway. And Marty Grimm will come up and finish it off. Thank you all very much for being here. It's a great honor. It's an honor to help, and you're well on your way. And that was a tragedy, close to an unbelievable tragedy. Could have been really bad. And thank goodness that didn't happen. But you're going to have tremendous help now, and I know FEMA will do the job like nobody can do it like them. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
It's crazy. So, you know, at the end of the day, it is good news that FEMA is going to provide some actual aid. It's a nice gesture for Trump to, you know, provide folks with some water and some McDonald's. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, FEMA is going to be able to provide a lot more aid than Donald Trump was able to. So while, yes, the show of support from Donald Trump is great, it's a lot better that official help is finally coming, and people are going to actually end up getting the help that they need. And hopefully Norfolk Southern pays for the situation that they in large parts have wrought. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they bear a lot of responsibility for what happened. Now, when it comes to who else bears responsibility for what happened, it turns out that one of the characters who might be at some level, you know, at fault for the situation is Donald Trump himself. And I'll go ahead and let David Pakman explain this.
As we continue to learn more about the train derailment that took place in Ohio, and we continue to cover it, it's harder and harder to avoid this sub-story that's come up about some braking-related regulations that were put in place by the Obama administration that the Trump administration rolled back. Now, the reason I haven't spoken about that yet is it's genuinely unclear to me, and apparently to others as well, whether those regulations are actually related to what took place in this particular train derailment. I have a friend who's a
That's interesting. I have heard that they are related, but, you know, you never know.
Train engineer, and he looked at it very strongly, and he said, yes, that happened, but it's not clear yet, at least, that that's related to this train derailment. But putting that aside for a moment, that topic has now even made it to Fox and Friends. Even Fox.
Now, one thing that's interesting is this is some surprisingly fair coverage from David Pakman. I've seen some of his stuff before. I don't know if he's like the fairest political pundit, but it is, you know, I do appreciate that he wants to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt here when it comes to rolling back these train regulations. I've been listening to Breaking Points on this, and they've been speaking with a lot of train safety experts, and they are pretty certain that Donald Trump did at least play some role in rolling back the regulations that inevitably led to this situation. But, you know, David Pakman has reason to believe otherwise, and I appreciate that, considering that he is a more biased, more left-wing source of political punditry and commentary than Breaking Points, yet he's actually, you know, defending Trump a little bit more than Breaking Points has been.
Fox and Friends, who, you know, the interesting thing about this story is that it has gone somewhat bipartisan because, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but for some of the right, they're interested in the train derailment, not because they care about trains or they care about regulation, but because they believe the media doesn't care about the train derailment because a lot of the victims in Ohio are white. I know, it's crazy, and we already talked about that on the Wednesday.
I mean, I don't know if that's 100% why they don't care. I mean, I think it's more about not caring about Americans than not caring about white people. You know, just because of the disproportionate coverage that the media have given, especially before the right started latching onto the story. It was no one was running on like Fox News or talk radio or being like, oh yeah, somebody has to stand up for these white people. Like nobody was really saying that. I don't know where he's getting that from. Maybe he made it up or something, or maybe he watches like the Young Turks. I don't know. I don't know.
They show, but regardless, it's leading to right-wing media caring about the train derailment. They also see it as an opportunity to criticize Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Democratic President Joe Biden. So needless to say, I have to tell you, I was surprised. Even Fox and Friends' Brian Kilmeade yesterday morning mentioned this issue of those regulatory changes.
Right. Speaking of the White House, apparently regulations regarding train safety were
this is Steve Ducey, not Kilmeade.
Changed during the Trump administration. This particular railroad and others lobbied President Trump to dismantle an Obama-era rule that would have required railroads to update their braking systems. And apparently the Obama administration had pushed for it to govern transportation of hazardous materials after about 500,000 barrels of crude were dumped. But ultimately, the Trump administration undid that and said the costs exceeded the benefits. Nobody understands, and you know, when they talk about whether or not it's safe to drink the water.
Okay, so then they get off of that aspect. That is absolutely and completely true. If you Google this, you'll find it widely documented. Here's one article. Trump rolls, this is from 2018. Trump rolls back train braking rule meant to keep oil tankers from exploding near communities. And the article reads, trains that carry oil and other flammable material won't have to install electronically controlled brakes that reduce the risk of train derailments and explosions after the reversal by Trump officials of an Obama-era safety rule. The Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration posted the rule change on its website. And again, they say today, this was from September of 2018, arguing the cost of installing these more sophisticated brakes outweighs the benefit.
I mean, that ended up not being true.
This was first proposed in December 2017, around the time of a deadly Amtrak derailment, and finalized today. The improved brakes had a 2021 deadline for installation. So it is 100% true that this was something that was started during the Obama administration. A deadline was placed on it. Under Trump, that was canceled. I would want to be really sure that it's actually related to this train derailment before we ascribe this train derailment blame under that umbrella. But
that's fair. It's hard to, like, it seems very heavily related, right? Anybody in the chat, anybody in the comment section, could you possibly explain how this wouldn't be related to this incident? I don't know. And I'm somebody who voted for Donald Trump twice. Once vicariously, but still twice. So, you know, I want to, Donald Trump is someone that I want to support, and he makes it harder to do that every day. But you know, we have to be objective here. He rolled back this regulation that was supposed to prevent the very thing that occurred.
It still goes without saying that we are not over-regulated when it comes to trains by any means. And in fact, it's probably the opposite. But ultimately, we will have a more specific answer here. And I mean, listen, good for Fox News for bringing it up. They mention it as an aside, and they get off of it very quickly. But they did bring it up, to their credit. I've had
very good on their end. Very good on their end. All right, so I mean, there's other news that we could cover. There's certainly other news that I could cover, but let's see. I know it's getting a little bit late. I have some things I got to take care of, so I'm going to be wrapping up the stream for tonight. Let's see. I'll be wrapping up the stream for tonight. Now, there is some more news that I want to cover, specifically the whole situation with the 4-person who's been running the January 6th, investigation into Donald Trump, because she seemingly has dismantled the entire case. He's dismantled the entire investigation against Donald Trump. We're going to talk about why that is. I was going to talk a little bit about some folks who have been wilding in my comment section, talking about how if you discuss rumors at Cedarville University, then you're, or not just discuss rumors, if you discuss scandals at Cedarville University, then you're just being a gossip. I'd like to break down how, I mean, it seems obvious why it doesn't make sense, or is that not accurate, or not even a godly way to approach the situation, but I don't know. I guess it's that apparent to everyone, so I am going to be talking about that. I just don't have the time to do it tonight, so next stream I will be doing that. But until then, keep building back better, y'all. Peace out.